WXI 12 News at 10 on the Triad CW starts now.
Active shooter, report of one person shot at Miller Coors.
A deadly mass shooting at a brewery in Milwaukee. Where things stand on this investigation.
Plus, deputies suspend their search for a missing toddler in the Piedmont. Hear from someone related to one of the people arrested in connection with this case.
And President Trump addresses the exploding coronavirus outbreak, what the federal government and neighbor cities are doing to prepare. We'll get to all that in just a little bit, but it felt almost like spring today.
For a few hours.
Yeah, for a small window. Unfortunately, that window is closed this evening.
Yeah, TV meteorologist Lainey Pope is here to tell us just how cold it could get and where we may even see some snow.
Oh, you know, we had temperatures out there this afternoon that were in the 60s. Now we're starting to see 30s and 40s across the area. Soon to be 20s and 30s by early morning. We've got 35 right now in Galax. So already the cold air is pushing into the mountains. 32 in Boone. We also have a transition from rain to snow in the mountains with that storm system right now right along the border of North Carolina and Virginia. There's rain from Asheboro to Lexington, High Point, over toward Burlington and Greensboro, northward toward Reidsville, moderate rain, and then you're starting to see the snow kind of transition in over our mountain communities. So we're looking for some light amounts of snow. That's why we have a winter weather advisory out for Grayson County, for Ashe and Watauga County. We also have a wind advisory out as well as a high wind warning, and that is for wind gusts that could get close to 50 miles an hour through the day tomorrow. Those winds are picking up already out there, and yes, the temperatures are going down. 24 in the mountains, but with feels like temperatures in the single digits. Will be close to freezing in the Triad. Feels like temperatures will be in the 20s thanks to a wind at about 10 to 20 miles an hour.
Lainey, thank you. Now to the latest mass shooting in the United States, this time in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, at the city's most famous brewery.
Police say a gunman opened fire at the Molson Coors complex, killing 5 employees before taking his own life. NBC's Dan Shinneman takes us to Wisconsin.
Okay, confirmed active shooter. Shooter's still at large.
It was the middle of the afternoon when the first shots were fired at the Molson Coors complex in Milwaukee.
There was a horrific shooting that has occurred.
Authorities secured the scene, streets were blocked off, the campus placed on lockdown, and police moved in.
Officers located the suspect, a 51-year-old Milwaukee man, deceased from an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. At this time, we have located 5 additional deceased adult victims.
All of the victims were employees of Miller Coors.
It's a terrible day for Milwaukeeans, and I pass on my condolences to the families.
City and state leaders now forced to deal with tragedy.
It is a tragedy for Milwaukee, yes, but it's a tragedy for the entire state of Wisconsin.
The shooting remains an active investigation. Dan Shinneman, NBC News.
As this story continues to develop, you can get alerts right on your phone with the free WXI 12 mobile app. Tonight, Wilkes County deputies have suspended their search for a missing toddler. They spent much of today following up on a tip near Stone Mountain Park Lake. Yeah, 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell went missing out of Sullivan County, Tennessee last week after last being seen the day after Christmas. She was just reported missing earlier this month. Steve King gets us caught up to speed now from Wilkes County.
Deputies here at the Wilkes County Sheriff's Office spent the day searching a pond next to North Lomax Road after receiving a tip that 15-month-old Evelyn Boswell was possibly somewhere in the area. Investigators were not able to find any signs that Evelyn was in the area, and at 5:30 this evening, they called off their search, which took place in the Shepherd's Crossroads community. They used multiple deputies and a remote-operated vehicle to search the pond. Investigators in Wilkes County arrested Angela Boswell, the girl's grandmother, and her boyfriend William McLeod on Friday. Detectives say they were taken into custody on out-of-state fugitive warrants out of Tennessee when they were spotted in a stolen vehicle related to the disappearance of Evelyn. Today we caught up with McLeod's grandmother. She says she saw her grandson on Friday before he was arrested, and he did not appear to have a child with him. She does not think he hurt Evelyn, and William McLeod has not been charged with anything connected to the girl's disappearance. The staff at Lowe's Motel in Wilkesboro says McLeod and Angela Boswell stayed there for one night last week, but hotel staff did not see a child with them. Meanwhile, William McLeod's grandmother says while she does not have any idea what happened to Evelyn, she's hoping for the best.
I've never seen her before except on television. She's a sweet little girl. I don't know how anybody could hurt her. I hope she's alive, but I don't know. There's some pretty devious people in the world today and messed up heads, and I don't know. I hope there's hope. I pray there's hope.
On Tuesday, the child's mother was arrested in Tennessee. Investigators there say Megan Boswell filed a false report, which slowed down law enforcement in their search for the toddler. Deputies in Sullivan County, Tennessee say they've received several hundred tips of Evelyn's possible whereabouts, but so far nothing has panned out. If you know where Evelyn Boswell is, you are urged to call law enforcement. Reporting in Wilkes County, Steve King, WXII 12 News.
Thank you, Steve. Now to the latest on the coronavirus. The president says Vice President Mike Pence will lead the team tasked with the U.S. response to this virus. At a briefing a few hours ago, Trump administration officials said the risk to Americans remains low, but the CDC says there will be more cases. Karen Caifa has the latest now from Washington, D.C.
President Trump making a rare appearance in the White House briefing room Wednesday evening, pushing back on skepticism about his administration's preparedness to handle the coronavirus.
Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low.
The president was flanked by members of the White House Coronavirus Task Force and Vice President Mike Pence, who he says will lead their efforts.
They're totally brilliant, and we're doing really well, and Mike is going to be in charge, and Mike will report back to me.
The CDC saying it's not a question of if coronavirus will spread in the U.S., it is a question of when.
We do expect more cases. And this is a good time to prepare.
Large outbreaks in other regions, countries like Italy and Iran, have sparked concerns about the virus's spread and its impact on global travel and the world economy. Some U.S. cities and local governments taking their own precautions. New York City has at least 1,200 hospital beds ready in case of an outbreak. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti says public areas at LAX are being disinfected every hour.
We're making sure that those points of entry and those places where we could see somebody come in and create a vector are as secure as we can possibly make them.
President Trump said the U.S. may add travel restrictions from other impacted countries, but not right now. In Washington, I'm Karen Caifa.
Right now, there aren't any confirmed cases of coronavirus in North Carolina, but the governor's coronavirus disease task force is encouraging families, businesses, and schools to get ready. Health experts say the best thing you can do is practice good hygiene. So wash your hands, cover your mouth, and avoid being around people who are sick. They also suggest managers and school administrators start reviewing sick leave policies now.
Meanwhile, Elon University students and staff are getting ready to head back home from Italy. There are hundreds of coronavirus cases in that country. A total of 21 students and one staffer hope to leave Florence by the end of this week. Elon cited international travel concerns in making this decision. The university says it will pay for the incurred flight expense and is working on a potential refund plan as well. As of today, these students will be able to finish the semester taking online classes from home rather than on Elon's campus.
New tonight, things are back to normal at Parkland High School in Winston-Salem, but they had a security scare earlier today. Police say just after 5 this afternoon, they got a call from a teacher saying they thought they'd heard a gunshot. This happened during after-school activities. The school was put on lockdown. Officers responded and found out that the gunshot noise was actually a student slamming a door. They then lifted the lockdown. New tonight, investigators in upstate New York say they think a wanted fugitive from North Carolina is dead. They say human remains found near Rochester last weekend are likely David Clyde Morgan from Wilmington. But they say the body has not been positively identified yet, which could take months. Morgan ran away from police after a traffic stop in July of 2018. He was on the run from North Carolina, where officials say he violated his probation. Hunters spotted the body Sunday while looking for deer antlers. To Commitment 2020 now. The Democratic presidential candidates are barnstorming across South Carolina, making their final pitches before the state's primary on Saturday. Jay Gray gives us a closer look at the competition.
The Democratic presidential candidates on the campaign trail in South Carolina. The presidential hopefuls looking for last-minute support heading into Saturday's primary.
And I challenge everyone.
On the heels of a contentious debate in Charleston.
Raising the minimum wage to a living wage. To the question.
The infighting, a clear indication of what's at stake in the Palmetto State. followed by Super Tuesday when 14 states will vote.
All of them were speaking directly to black voters in a way that we have not seen in these first 10 debates.
Minority support is critical in South Carolina, where African Americans make up 60% of the state's Democratic primary voters. Former Vice President Joe Biden picking up the much sought-after endorsement of South Carolina Congressman Jim Clyburn.
I know Joe. We know Joe. But most importantly, Joe knows us.
Former Vice President Joe Biden.
Biden's campaign needing a win to stop the momentum of frontrunner Bernie Sanders. The latest NBC News Marist poll shows a tight race in South Carolina between the two. Biden leading Sanders by only 4 points within the margin of error. A razor-thin lead for what many consider a make-or-break primary for Joe Biden as South Carolina voters get ready to head to the polls. Jay Gray, NBC News.
And new tonight, Senator Bernie Sanders made a campaign stop here in North Carolina. He spoke at a midweek church service in Goldsboro, North Carolina. He spent part of the evening talking about the pillars of his campaign, which includes raising the minimum wage. Here's Senator Sanders.
And what we are trying to do in this campaign is redefine what reality is in America and redefine what is important. And that's why I talk about the need to raise the minimum wage to a living wage so that nobody in America works 40 hours a week, lives in poverty. That's at least.
Several Democratic candidates and President Donald Trump will all be in our state ahead of next week's primary. Bernie Sanders is going to be in Winston-Salem tomorrow for a rally and march at Winston-Salem State University. Amy Klobuchar is going to be at a grassroots event in Greensboro sometime in the late morning. An exact time hasn't been announced yet. She's also set to speak at the Blue NC celebration in Charlotte on Saturday. That is the same event Michael Bloomberg is expected at this weekend when he returns to our state. Pete Buttigieg is going to be in Raleigh on Sunday for a Get Out the Vote rally. And President Donald Trump will hold a rally on Monday in Charlotte, one day before our state's primary.